he said. So anyway, the thing is that he's 3 stories deep in high school band. You ask him how his weekend went, he's explaining ancient Roman ceiling fans. One sip of coffee, suddenly we're ranking every kind of cheese. We just wanted movie times, now we're somewhere in the 90s on TV. Captain Tangent, off again, started with the weather, now we're talking about space pen. He said, so anyway, the thing is that he's 3 stories deep in high school band. You ask him how his weekend went, he's explaining ancient Roman ceiling fans. One sip of coffee, suddenly we're ranking every kind of cheese. We just wanted movie times, now we're somewhere in the 90s on TV. Captain Tangent, off again, started with the weather, now we're talking about space pens. Captain Tangent, spin that thread, we were on the freeway, now we're in his cousin's shed. He goes left, he goes right, he forgets what started this ride. Captain Tangent, that's our friend, circle to the middle, never finds the end. You say, can you pass the song? He's live song, that's wild, cause I once knew a guy named Hal. Next thing, it's a road trip tale, flat tire, first crush, roadside motel. He's drawing diagrams on a napkin just to prove a tiny point. By the time he finally lands, we forgot why we even joined. Captain Tangent, off again, started with a question, now we're rating every band's best spin. Captain Tangent, spin that thread, we were in the kitchen, now we're somewhere by a surf shed. He goes left, he goes right, he zigzags through his own mind. Captain Tangent, that's our friend, circle to the middle, never finds the end. But when you're stuck in your same old day, he can talk you miles away. From a text gone wrong to a song to a snack, you forget what hurt, you forget looking back. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Captain Tangent, off again, started with you, okay, now we're laughing about old trends. Captain Tangent, spin that thread, we were feeling heavy, now we're light as jokes. He said, he goes left, he goes right, brains like fireworks at night. Captain Tangent, that's our friend, hope he never, ever finds He said, so anyway, the thing is that he's 3 stories deep in high school band. You ask him how his weekend went, he's explaining ancient Roman ceiling fans. One sip of coffee, suddenly we're ranking every kind of cheese. We just wanted movie times, now we're somewhere in the 90s on TV. Captain Tangent, off again, started with the weather, now we're talking about space pens. Captain Tangent, spin that thread, we were on the freeway, now we're in his cousin's shed. He goes left, he goes right, he forgets what started this ride. Captain Tangent, that's our friend, circle to the middle, never finds the end. You say, can you pass a song? He's live song, that's wild, cause I once knew a guy named Hal. Next thing, it's a road trip tale, flat tire, first crush, roadside motel. He's drawing diagrams on a napkin just to prove a tiny point. By the time he finally lands, we forgot why we even joined. Captain Tangent, off again, started with a question, now we're rating every band's best spin. Captain Tangent, spin that thread, we were in the kitchen, now we're somewhere by a surf shed. He goes left, he goes right, he zigzags through his own mind. Captain Tangent, that's our friend, circle to the middle, never finds the end. But when you're stuck in your same old day, he can talk you miles away. From a text gone wrong to a song to a snack, you forget what hurt, you forget looking back. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Captain Tangent, off again, started with you, okay, now we're laughing about old trends. Captain Tangent.
All right. First off, can you guys hear me? I'm starting a little early, getting things set up here. Steve should be. Oh, there he is, right there. All right. Let's get Steve in here. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Hey. Okay. Hello. Go back here, set that, pin, and pin. All right. So I got us both up here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, they can hear us. Let me hear you. Can you hear me?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. I guess I got to turn the speaker up a little so this can do that again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Much more better. All right. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another scintillating episode of Max's Models. We are starting a little early because I thought tonight's show is going to be on kits of cars of the 1950s, and I don't. Well, it can be kits that were made in the 1950s, but of models of cars from 1950 to 1959. We're going to get into that. I thought real quick before we got going, I would just talk briefly about the truck build I just did, which is 99.9% done. This is an AFV kit, and a lot of you guys have been following the build, so you know that AFV makes them pretty detailed, maybe arguably a little too much so, although I wouldn't say that because you don't have to put everything on there. The biggest boogeyman on this truck is the rubber hose, which of course is plastic, and no matter how much I twist it and stretch it, heat it and warm it, it keeps wanting to coil up. But outside of that, mostly good fits. I don't think I left anything off. Even got all the little grab handles on it and everything. You can simplify it by not putting the PTO on it. That's an option. I've not done yet.
Garfield says 10 seconds. We have our first tangent.
We're starting with a tangent. Thus my new theme song, Captain Tangent. We're literally starting with a tangent. Let me slow down the rate those pictures are flipping through here, because it's hit that, hit that, hit that. Okay, that should. But the only thing I haven't done yet is really weather it, and I'll just put a little light weathering on it. But I need to make the base and build the characters, you know, to walk around the crew of the helicopter, maybe find some more characters, someone to, you know, holding the truck. I kind of made up the paint scheme on it based on interpretation of a bunch of photos I just saw. There are surprisingly, not very many photographs of Vietnam era refueling trucks. I only found a few, and a lot of them were the big semi-tractor trailers. And there are no white, flammable, no smoking within 50 feet decals except on the Aurora model, which good luck finding one of those from 1955. And those big clamps I bought came in handy, sure enough. You know, I thought, oh, these are overkill. Nope, I needed them. But there's the usual problems you have with any kit, like some of the gates, entry gates that you have to trim off are on little skinny tiny parts. And there's only two pieces of photo etch. One's the wraparound on the diesel exhaust. The other one I didn't put on because it's a post-Vietnam era grill. It just drops on the front, and it's something they put on them later. This truck's been in service. I'll bet the Army probably still has some of these in service, and they've had them since the 50s. So this does count as a 1950s vehicle. And I like the way it looks. Obviously, as usual, I made a few little mistakes on it. Got some things backwards because this is the first time I built a tanker truck like this. Some of my biggest complaint with this truck would probably be the instruction sheet. It could be a lot clearer in some areas. The fit around the cab was a little rougher, and I like to have trouble getting things to line up. You know, you build the frame, so tangential tangent. I like that. But I still have to make. I'm going to get another one of these poster boards, probably like the one I've got the helicopter sitting on now. Make it up as a tarmac. Get the figures made. I might see if I can incorporate some of the leftover parts of the helicopter, like the engines. But it's not like you just leave engines laying around on a tarmac. And of course, it's now that I'm done, I realize one of my stars is a little crooked. But what can I say? You know, the driver had been drinking when he repainted the truck. But I didn't get into the weeds, sweating the details. It does come with a couple of options. You got two different sets of rear view mirrors. I put what I believe are the older set on, which should be more period correct. You also have, of course, I say the option of putting on the winch on front or not. There are a few other little options in there. They didn't. I got parts left over that I've scoured the instructions. They're not in there anywhere. So probably because they use the same sprue they use for like the regular 5-ton truck version of this. And I'm assuming this is a 5-ton because it's got 10 wheels on it, and I think Deuce and a Half has 6, if I remember correctly. And they've all got suspensions from hell. But some of the little itty bitty parts, like the brace between the exhaust and the hood of the vehicle, really few little parts in there, a little tough to get in there, but overall not bad. You could make this kit a lot simpler without giving up anything. This is like one of those things they kind of took a CAD drawing of the truck and probably just said, okay, let's just make this in styrene. Well, it's one thing when you're using a 3/4 inch bolt to mount something. It's another thing when it gives you a fraction of a micrometer of plastic to join. You know, I'm like, thanks, guys. But one thing I did that I got from Modeling Muse is that it was hard to get the sides of the engine cab to sit down on the front fenders. They just kept wanting to spring up. So when I was done, there was still a little bit of gap. I thought about getting it with putty, but I figured, you know what, I'm just going to pull something I saw on the Modeling Muse. I heated up some styrene and just melted it on the inside and let that fill the gap. It worked great. And now that thing's not going anywhere either. But anyway, I just thought I would talk about that. Very detailed on the pump assembly. And believe it or not, the pump assembly there's a complete set of hoses and everything underneath the bottom, and I put them all in, including the PTU drive. So there is a 3-legged axle that goes from the back of the cab all the way underneath to the pump controls in the back of the truck, and you got to, and I got it lined up and got it in there. Not that you'll ever see it. It was purely I wanted to do it just because it was there, you know. And
That could be the topic of a whole nother live stream. Things you put in that never get seen.
Yeah, really. And but I don't really have anything bad to say about the kit. I just, the instructions could have been better, and I don't think they could have done things much different than they did if they wanted to keep that level of detail. But remember, all these details are just there if you want to put them in. You know, you want to close the back doors, you don't need to put any of that stuff in there. You don't need to put any of the piping in the bottom. You're just going to sit on the shelf. We do it because we're model builders and it becomes a challenge. But I would not give this kit to a beginner, for sure. It's not a beginner kit. A little bit, like I say, a little bit of aggravation fitting the parts. This Marine Corps CJ5 or M38 Jeep on the other side of the helicopter is the other AFV kit that I built. And really didn't have any problems with it. Maybe a few little tiny fit issues, but the big problem with the Jeep was, or I should say the small problem, was it had so many itty bitty teeny tiny parts, and even smaller than the truck. But you know, then again, you know, it's not the law that you have to put them on. But that is where that is at. Okay, we're back on camera, Steve. So let's see. It's just about time to get started. So tonight we thought we would talk about 1950s vintage models. But before we get started, I'm going to wait a few more minutes before I make the big presentation, just so you know. And we have a gift for Steve that was sent by Chris. And before I get on that, I have noticed that everybody's talking about the weather for obvious reasons. First off, my hat's off to all you guys who are, normally I would say in the north, but the way this weather is, that would pretty much be anything north of Georgia. I hope you guys are, I know, I'm not worried about the Canadians. They know how to deal with this. I'm not even worried about the Minnesotans and the Chicagoans, but man, we're going to have people across Tennessee, North Georgia, Kentucky have no idea what's going on. You guys ever want to have some fun, put rednecks on frozen roads, because I tell you what, Bubba and Skeeter on Ice is a show I've seen before, and it just never gets old. Years ago, we got a big snow that hit the Fort Campbell, Kentucky, that area up there, and it got down into Georgia. And my buddy Bill was like, he's like, watch, they'll find some Bubba to interview, and he'll be in cutoffs and a T-shirt, you know, in an old worn-out muscle car. And sure enough, who do they interview about it? The guy has got the thin mustache. You know, he's like 18 years old. He's got the messed up old T-shirt, cut off jeans, and some big old 70s vintage, you know, muscle car, or was once a muscle car. And he's like, yeah, because everybody's skating. I was like, yep, it's rednecks on ice, sure enough. You know, it was like a Bill Engvall joke personified. We didn't know what to do. We hit the gas, and the car just went in circles.
I was in a store the other day, and it was about 12 degrees.
Wait a minute, Celsius or Fahrenheit, because that matters.
Fahrenheit.
Oh, the real temperatures. Okay, yeah.
The real temperature, yeah. And this woman walks in with jean shorts that were all torn up and a tank top that just about exposed her upper half of her body. And I'm looking and I just shook my head. And she bought her stuff and left the store. And the two women who worked in the store looked at me and said, did we just see that? Or is that, did we imagine that? It's just, we're called in here with coats on. So she shows up dressed like that.
Got to turn the little heater off. Yes, that was a floor heater running in here. But our heaters don't get a lot of exercise here in Florida, so when we fire them up, they belch smoke and the place stinks for a while. So, anywho, the I love doing circles. Yeah, yeah, it's fun when you mean to do it. When I was at police academy, we had to go out on the. We went to the Old Dominion Speedway in Virginia near Richmond, and for those of you in the Richmond area who may remember the Old Dominion Speedway, and they had a skid pad out there for us, and they put slicks on our police car. We actually brought real police cars from the department, and they'd always give you some beat up old cruiser because they knew you were going to go do student driving. They put slicks on them, they would soap it, and we'd go around and they were trying to teach control. Man, you just talk about a bunch of 20-somethings having fun going around the circle, skidding all over the place and getting paid for it. I was like, man, we should do this every day.
We used to do that when we were kids. We'd wait for it to snow and we'd go to a shopping center parking lot of a big retail store. And we would just do it and have a whole heck of a lot of fun. And we'd have a lot of people that would come. And the police would come and they'd go, "Do you guys not have better hobbies?"
Hey, at least you're staying in the parking lot. Just don't do it out on the street.
Yeah.
Well, Chris sent a gift for you. And now I'll do the big presentation. We're up and rolling, and everybody's gang's all here. This is from Chris. It's a 1959 AMT Chrysler
59
Imperial.
AMT Imperial. Thank you very much, Chris. Wow.
And
That's cool.
He found it in the store. It was a good deal, so he said he thought of you and grabbed it and sent it to me. And I was like, well, if you want to, he wanted me to present it on the live stream. So
okay. Well, Chris, if you're, I don't see you on here yet, but I truly thank you for that.
Crap.
I don't see him on there. You know, but
well, I'll put it away, and if anybody sees him, let me know.
Yeah,
We'll do it all
when he
over
comes
again.
back, then you can give it
Nobody tell him Steve already knows. But so
No,
I
just say,
saved the
I
box.
already got
and everything. Yeah.
I'll just say I already got that.
But he saw that and thought of you, and I think he said it was a thrift shop or something. So I saved the box and everything, and all the plastic, so I can repackage
I will
it and
thank
ship it
him.
up to you.
That was very nice of him. I appreciate that.
That car's going to be doing more traveling in the last month than your car's done in 10 years.
It didn't travel that much from the factory when it was built.
As long as we're on that real quick, tell us what the story on your 59 Imperial.
No,
and what's
mine's
going on with it.
57.
Oh, yours is a 57, okay. And what's
Yeah.
going on? What's the story on that?
It's I need to put the windows in, put the heater and air conditioning unit in, run the wiring harness, and it's going to be taken to a local mechanic that I use to put in all new brake lines and put the brake booster and stuff in, because I'd rather have him do it than me do it. I'm hoping for a, summer, fall, being able to finally drive it again before I die. But I want to just recommend to everyone out there, if you ever get the idea to buy a car and restore it, don't. Go buy one that's already done. It's much easier and cheaper.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my nephews is he was a shop teacher. Now I think he's a principal now or something like that, or head of like a trade school. Anyway, he's done very well. So, and he's from Chicago, so they know the snow up there. And in fact, I'm not sure, but I've heard that Buffalo, Chicago, and Erie and that area on the south end of the lakes actually get more weather than they do up in Canada because it blows over the lakes and super freezes.
Cleveland, Erie, yep.
And boy, the stories I've got.
Funny thing about Buffalo is,
well,
I've spent a lot of time in Buffalo for career reasons, and I've been up there, and the New York State Thruway kind of comes across the middle of Buffalo. And there's sometimes when they get a massive snowstorm, south of the Thruway will get 3 feet of snow. North of the Thruway will get 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's vice versa, depending upon how the lake effect comes off the lake, where the wind they're going. But I mean, when I lived in Denver. They didn't get anywhere near the snow they get in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, Buffalo's like, it's like the grand marshal of snow. It's unbelievable. I have a good friend of mine who lives up there. He'll send me pictures when it snows. He'll stand inside his garage and hit the garage door opener, and the garage door will open, and it is a solid wall of snow, because that's how much snow it snowed.
Yeah, I understand that Buffalo is one of the worst. I used to live in Presque Isle, Maine, and you go up to Fort Fairfield, and it's like one of the most northern points in America. I think there's a tip of Minnesota that sticks up a little further, but I mean, a good chunk of Canada is south of you. And I drove across the border one time during the winter, and it wasn't actively snowing at the time, and it was kind of funny. I pulled up the Canadian border, and they take a photo of your, and this is back in '98, I think, and they take a picture like of your license plate, you know, and you just show your driver's license. The guy inside there just waves and waves, and you're in Canada. I'm like, oh, that's great, you know, and went and just, what was the name of that town? Madawaska? Anyway, and they, I just kind of went around. It was like being in any town up in the Northeast, you know. It was like, okay. And when I came back to the border, go to the border, and the American, and I'm an American coming back into America, and back then you didn't have to carry a passport, you just had to have your driver's license. I might have had my passport with me. But the guy's like, park the car, come inside, show me stuff, fill out the form, da da da. You know, I'm like, jeez. Yeah. But
I remember we went to Halifax for vacation, and on the way back we took the boat across the Bay of Fundy to St. John's, and then you can ride along the Bay of Fundy to the Maine border. We pull up at the Maine border, and it's like a photomat booth.
Yeah,
remember those little
I know
photomat
exactly
booths?
what you're talking. I know exactly what
And
you're
there's
talking.
this lady, she must be 75, 80 years old, and she goes, "Oh, hi, did you have a nice time, you know, in Canada?" "Yes, we did." She goes, "Well, welcome, and just go ahead." And I was like, we didn't show her anything.
Yeah.
We could have had a trunk full of weapons.
For
and
simpler
everything
times,
else.
man. You
And I
know.
was like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Well, what I'd heard
"Okay."
was and everybody told me they usually waved you through both ways. They just didn't coming back into the States. But apparently, one of the things is a lot of Canadians like to come down to the U.S. side to shop, you know, hit the malls and everything, and then go back. They'll be pulling station wagons with the rear end dragging, you know, and they're supposed to be collecting duties and stuff. But yeah, it's they see an American driver's license, they don't care. But it's like if you're a Canadian, like, all right, what you got there, you know?
Well, you know, it's funny. People are making there's a lot of discussion about Buffalo, and
Yes,
there's
yeah.
there's a meme going around on Pinterest, and it's a woman in a snowstorm in Buffalo, and there must be 2 feet of snow on the ground, and she's clearing off the snow off of her car, and she keeps saying, "We have no hurricanes, we have no snakes, we have we have no hurricanes, she just keeps repeating it and taking the snow off the car.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Yes, Stuart, there is a subject tonight. It's kits of model cars from 1950 to 1959. Those are models of cars of 1950 vintage to 1959. So our first slide, we start off, we're going
Now,
by...
before you start,
What?
before you start, we should tell Stuart that 59 Imperial that you have there for me as a gift, that is not a recently made kit. That was made way back when. Yep.
This is definitely vintage. Tell by the box art, the style. And
Yep.
okay, so I of course got most of this off of ScaleMates, not all of it, and I went back to see who makes models. Now, of course, I'm sure I missed some because I only have so much time, but of vehicles made in 1950, and I found a grand total of 5 vehicles. Monogram makes the 1950 Ford pickup. Atlantis is remaking that 1950 124 Scout Alfa Romeo Le Mans racer. Smear made one also. Then, of course, there's the famous AMT 1950 Ford convertible customizing kit. And then the Revell also makes a Ford pickup, which I don't know if that's the same one as the Monogram kit or not. I mean, now Revell owns both of them. It may just be reboxed under the Monogram name. Wouldn't surprise me why reinvent the wheel, although it says 2 in 1. Steve, the 50 Ford convertible customizing, is this come with the car, or is this just a customization set and you got to get the model separately?
Yeah, that AMT kit
Yeah,
you're talking about,
yeah.
it's a 3-in-1 kit. which is what AMT pioneered, means you can make it stock, you can make it custom, you can make it race.
So you get a model car, but you can only make one
And
of
you get
those
all the
three.
different parts
Okay.
that you could make it either way, which was a pretty good value at the time. And they did that way into the 70s,
Yeah,
where
I
you could,
remember them. They even for a while had something like that for NPC, had them on airplanes, and believe me, they sucked.
and so, you get all these extra parts. And if you saved them, the next time you had a car and you wanted to say, hey, maybe this part would work on that car. And that's why you see in a lot of these, model contests, you see some of these cars that are kind of kit bashed in a weird way with certain parts because people got extra parts from all the kits and they just saved them. It's like with Atlantis, with some of the Killer's customs, you got a lot of extra parts in there that you could save and make, a different, you could add it to a different kit.
Rob Altus says, yeah, it is the Revell and the Monogram truck are the same kit, just reissued, which I suspected.
Yeah.
I got to admit, though, that it's a good-looking truck. I mean, I like that style. But now here's my question that you guys will be noticing as we proceed, as we get up towards the mid and late 50s, we're going to have bigger and bigger and bigger selections of model cars. I'm assuming style has a lot to do with it. How come you think there are so many models made of the Tri-50 Chevys and all that stuff, but for like 1950, there's only a handful of models? Why?
Um,
The cars just aren't good looking. They aren't in the popular mind.
it's a combination of what's sold at the time of the real cars. I mean, whether you like them or not, there's a lot of 55 to 57 Chevys still out there. And at the time, they were pretty hot cars, so they made models of them.
Okay, because it seems like 50 to 54, there ain't a lot. Then at 55, it just takes off.
Well, you got to remember, if you looked at all the cars from the actual cars from 50 to 54, they were not, with the exception of like maybe the 53 Corvette or that Kaiser Darren that we talk about, they were pretty boring old man looking cars.
Yeah, balloon fenders and everything. And
They were cars that were made for guys who wanted to wear their hat when they were driving. High roof, slab sides. And then about 55, 56, they started to make the cars look a little more stylish. They became more popular. The economy was much better. And then in 57, it really took off. When Chrysler introduced all of their cars in 57, they caught everybody by surprise with the styling. And then unfortunately in 58, the country had a recession.
yeah, that's part of what killed Edsel.
And that killed a lot of cars. And then it got better. And then as you got into the 60s, you had more sporty type cars, you had muscle cars, and the baby boomers, they became of driving age, and they, really were a car culture. So,
And my guess is if you started, Steve's model business today and started making 52 and 53 sedans, they probably wouldn't sell that hot because nobody identifies with them.
no, it's true.
And now, if someone was to make a popular movie where one of those cars featured, then yeah, because we all know how pop culture ties in with that. The 1950 vehicles, even at car shows and stuff, you don't see very many of them. I mean, the real ones. And I've been to enough car shows to know there are certain eras in history that just aren't represented. You don't see a lot of stuff in the 40s for that matter.
No. The only thing you see from the 40s are like Woody wagons, because they were pretty popular. I mean, look at it this way. Just taking the 40s into account. One of the most controversial but interesting cars of the 40s, which was the Tucker, nobody's ever made a model kit of it.
I wonder why that is. I mean, couldn't get the rights, or?
Well, it's certainly not because you can't get the rights. They're gone. They're out of business. I mean, and I would think that they would want to have somebody, if the family you still got family members, they'd want to have it,
Well, I know they make a lot of die cast of it.
Right, but not plastic models.
That is kind of interesting. I wonder why not. Huh?
I don't
Uh,
know.
so, well, that leads us into another lean year for model cars, and that's 1951. And there were a couple of more cars. Actually, AMT has not fairly recently, I think, released their 51 Chevy Cruiser, but
Yes.
but the again, given a tie-in, one of the ones that I think I might remember seeing this as a kid, or maybe that's a false memory, but would be when Aurora, getting kind of away from what Aurora was famous for, made the 51 Mod Squad station wagon, which people are trying to get $150, $200 for on eBay. And when you were telling me it blows as a kid,
What kid was that? I'm sorry.
the Mod Squad station wagon, the
Oh yeah,
51.
that just it's terrible. It's terrible.
Elaborate.
It's got a bad fit. It's an odd scale, and it just doesn't look right when it's put together. It's a typical Aurora, like 8 out of 10, almost there but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, that's what
and
happens
maybe
when Abe Shanks gives somebody a one picture and says, "Hey, cut a mold for that, cut a blank."
I you know, uh, and a lot of that went on with them. I mean, they had some really good subjects for cars, but when you
Hey,
look at
friend.
them,
Uh-huh.
they're kind of like not what you would call an accurate representation of the real car.
Did it at least fit together well?
Yeah, there weren't that many parts. It was okay. It was very typical Aurora.
It's easy to make the parts fit when there's only 8 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, ITC had this remote control one. I think we talked about this at one point. I assume it had wires on it. Um,
Yeah, it had a little handheld thing, and it had a cable that went underneath the car.
I think we tell years, sometime, a long time back, I think we found some pictures of one, and I was like, for given that it was made in the 50s, that's actually kind of cool. uh,
Well, see, that was an offshoot of because they were a division of Ideal Toy.
mm-hmm.
Ideal Toy made a couple of toys that were quote unquote remote control but via wire.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of had experience with that particular primitive technology. So they figured, hey, this will work on a model kit.
Well, I learned as a kid, you had to be very careful. Remote control, they are remote control because you're controlling them from a remote location via cable. Don't confuse remote control with radio controlled.
Right.
Because remote control, usually they got wires and stuff hanging out of them. But the Chevy Cruiser, you're starting to get into sort of the proto 50s look here, what we think of as a classic 50s look. Because you look at a 49 to a 52 and the styling changed fairly quickly. I had a chance to buy a 53, it might have been a Plymouth, it might have been a Chevy at a car show. The guy only wanted about $1,600 for it and it was running. And my buddy said, look, I know you're enamored with the idea of having an old car, but don't get one just because you have that much money, it's what you can afford, because he said that the cars, he goes up until, I think he said until 55. He said that he was talking about, because he had these cars back when he was a young man. He said he was talking about the mechanics of them were much more primitive. Apparently, one of the big things that happened in '55 was some changes in the mechanics of the car. I forget it was that they got rid of chains and went timing chains and went
Well,
timing belts or what it was.
well, the 55 was the first year they introduced the 283 V8.
Okay.
And that was a pretty big technological leap because it's actually the basis for the small block Chevy that they still use today.
Uh-huh.
So it was a very good design. It gave decent amount of power compared to everything that was out there, and they were very popular cars. Yeah, if you remember, Monogram did a motor of the 283, and it was just a motor of that engine,
Yeah,
And
Eric's
so-
saying that the ITC kit is just an unassembled toy. It's not a model as we tend to think about them.
They pretty much are all that, ICC stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, because when you put them together, for the most part, they do stuff.
Yeah, they are.
You know,
They
I
are
mean-
toys. Yeah.
I mean, the ones, the molds that Nick Argento picked up at his company, he got
Glencoe,
the
yeah.
real kits. He got Glencoe has the real kits from ITC that weren't motorized or, had air bellows that made him do things.
Well, the Slugo says that Red Wheel has full 125 scale resin tucker for $180.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't
see,
include any resin or small shop
no,
or garage shop kits here just because I figured we stay with the major,
yeah, I don't count resin kits as mainstream.
And
Not that they're not good, but
no, I
that
know what you
they're
mean.
not
I mean,
mainstream.
but you have to be kind of an aficionado. It's not something you're going to see at Hurricane Hobbies. And
No, look, my son for my birthday gave me a resin kit he found online of a 1970 Chrysler 300H Hearst,
mm-hmm.
which was a very limited production Hearst special. They only made like 530 of them.
Uh-huh.
And he found this because he knew I liked the car and sent it to me. Well, the thing was like $100, but it's different. But if you would have made that kit in styrene, I don't think it would have sold that
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
because it's not it's not
It's too
something that
obscure.
everybody would want.
Yeah. It's just too obscure. And by the way, side note is I got a note here. 1951, I believe, was when Revell started making their Highway Pioneers.
Well, Highway Pioneers came from England.
Well, it came from Gallon and Gallon.
Yeah,
But Revell actually, I think that was the first thing that Revell actually, what we would call models.
Molded.
Yeah. Well, they were already a molding company. It was the first model they molded. Although some people say they're models, some people say they're toys because they had the pull thing so they could,
yes,
uh,
they have a spring mechanism.
But you know what? This is back before when this is the infancy of styrene models, so there was no standard yet. So by the standards of the day, it was a model. And
Yeah,
but
the, I mean, Revell made when they started making their car kits in the mid 50s.
uh-huh.
They were all multi-piece bodies. I mean, it wasn't until George Toda
Right.
figured out how to do the side slide that you got a one-piece body.
Well, since you brought that up, let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. I've got some. Hold on, let me bring up those pictures you gave me. Teeper. Let me run this up to the top here. Okay. Let me just scroll through these pictures real quick. This is obviously here we go. We got the Leva car, and do we have another? Yeah, here we go. Here we've got the Revell. There's just what you're talking about. So you can talk about it with a visual aid. I've got the picture. It'll be a little bit before you see it, but I've got the picture up with the three-sided body. That you
Okay,
sent me.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a picture of the. Well, they keep rotating on here, but
I just paused it. You'll see it. We're in about a 20-second delay. So.
Oh, okay. Because I'm looking at the Cadillac,
But now I've got it zoomed in on the Cadillac, where you can
yeah. Well,
see the
the
three
one
sides.
I'm looking at, and I think everybody's probably seeing is the Cadillac, and that was the '56 Cadillac. As a matter of fact, Atlantis has repopped this kit.
Complete with the sides you have to glue on there.
Yep, and the figures and everything. It's how kits were made back then. I mean, you had the two sides, you had a frame, you had the interior, you had a hood. Sometimes you had a trunk if it opened. Yeah, you did have a trunk, and you got a windshield frame and some chrome parts in the interior. That's how you made the kit. And they were the. That was the standard. That was what you expected if you were going to build a car kit.
Yeah, and it was also a royal pain in the keister.
It was, because to get everything to dry and line up right, without one side folding under it's like trying to build a trailer for a truck.
Yep, which was a bigger pain than I expected when I did it.
Trying to get everything to stay together so that it can all
You need a
seat.
lot of tape and a lot of clamps.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But, that's how the kits were made. And they were a challenge, and then when George Toteff, figured out how to do the side slide mold, which you could then make the full body in one piece, that was really a big technological leap. And it made kits easier to build, especially cars.
Now, here is the 59 Ford Galaxy, same thing. And the parts are nicely laid out so you can see, you'll see it in about 20 seconds, but you could, you know what, let me just do fit to screen. Okay, transform, fit to screen. There we go. But here you got all the parts nicely laid out so you can see what a royal pain in the key. And it's really hard for a kid to make that look nice because the seams are so visible. They're right up on top.
First of all, this one's not too bad because the way that the top pieces fit into the bottom pieces, and they have the opening deck lid so that the roof can fold in, it pretty much hides them because there's sort of those normal kind of seams in the real car. So this one's kind of like an anomaly to the whole thing. But, like the 56 Lincoln Mark II, the Ford Country Squire wagon, they were all multi-piece bodies, and back then you didn't have like putty like we have today.
Yeah, you just globbed the glue and paint in and hope it covered it all up.
And if you did, you were 7 years old. I mean, you
were going to destroy it anyway, so
Yeah, so
But we don't we don't appreciate having that three-sided body. How nice that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
and you had the picture put up that I sent you of the Levicar. I mean, that's a tiny, tiny car. It's very small, but there's a lot of pieces because the body's multi-piece. If that thing were made today, it would be one-piece body. There'd be an interior, bottom plate, and a windshield. And some trim pieces.
What did the Levicar use? Compressed air or something, or?
Levicar used air. What happened was that it was built for Ford as a show car. And they kept it in the Ford Rotunda building, which was this big building they had in Michigan by the headquarters, and it had, some of their dream cars and innovations. The building caught fire, and the car was destroyed.
Aww.
AMT made the kit. The interesting thing about the AMT kit is it comes with a hose. And it comes with a little mouthpiece, and you plug it into the back of the car where one of the exhaust ports would be, and you blow in it, and the car lifts on a cushion of air, and it moves. And it's really cool. I mean, when you were a kid, and you put that together, and you blew through the thing, you thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Sure, because you're a kid, and that's what it was for, was to be cool for a kid.
Yeah. I mean, it basically was a toy when you put it together.
Yeah.
But, I've seen some of them built up, and they've done very nice jobs. Building them. I mean, it's a very interesting car, but
I guess that's the hose on the right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Both folded up.
Yeah. So what?
Hose didn't last that long usually.
No, it looks like a paper straw. So just out of curiosity, we've got the 51 Fleet line, and then what looks like a 51 sedan, which are clearly different cars, different grille work. Is the Fleet line like the base model or something for a Chevy, or?
Yes, it was.
What you laughing at?
Eric's latest comment.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see, 51 Anglia drag.
Anglia. It was a drag car. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a popular little drag car in the early 60s. It was real small wheelbase. They ran them as gassers, and there were a lot of them out there. That's a nice little kit.
Who made it?
Yeah. Revell.
No, who made the Anglia?
Oh, Anglia. That was the company from England.
Oh, okay.
Ford. It's a Ford Anglia.
Okay.
It was that's a good kit. It really is.
What about, was this a Studebaker up above? You got the Käfer, which is what we call a Beetle. And then you've got what looks like was that a Studebaker?
Which one? The red one?
Or is that a Willis upper right?
Henry J.
Henry. Oh, that's a Henry J. Yes. And that's Kaiser, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a nice kit too. Do you ever see one of those?
Not the kid. I saw a real one out at Bob's
Real
Big
one.
Boy when I was over Mike.
Yeah, where I used to live in New Jersey, somebody had one, and they turned it into like a pro street racer.
Really?
And, yeah, and they used to drive around in it, and they say, yeah, it's kind of
Kaiser
interesting.
cars were always noted for being like, I guess, the equivalent of an economy car back then.
Yes, it was.
Like Nash, like the Ramblers, or not the Rambler, what was the little one? What was that little Nash that was supposed to be like one of the first real micro economy cars? Rambler, was it Rambler? The little Nash
Rambler.
Rambler?
Well,
Yeah.
Rambler, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Meet, meet.
That was an economy car. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were writing songs about it. So that's pretty much your options for 1951. Moving on to 1952, we get a few more. The Pyro.
Oh, here, Trey got it, the National Metropolitan.
The Metropolitan. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are very cool little cars. They
Henry
really
Juniors
are.
were sold at Sears. Okay, that's cool.
Yes.
Yeah,
They were
Metropolitan.
sold.
Yeah.
They were sold under the Allstate name as Allstates. Now, you could buy, back in the 50s, you could buy a house at Sears.
I remember the Sears catalog, and some of the stuff in there was pretty impressive. There was also something called the Blue Book from a big department store, and in the back of the book, they always showed photos of their retail outlets. Like one was New York and one was Chicago, and Something Brothers, I think. And they called and it was a hardbound. Their catalog was a hardbound book. And the reason I remember is I used to always want to learn to play the guitar, and they had the Sears Silvertone guitar in there. And I remember I always
There
go
you
to
go.
that and look at it. I had no idea what a garbage guitar was. I mean, the pickup was stuffed in a lipstick case, but it was. Who did that? Was it Bennett Brothers or something? I mean, it was
Could have been.
yeah, it was like a nationally known like a Sears type operation, and
Eric says you could buy chickens from Sears.
what always cracked me up is we had a little Sears in my hometown, and what you went into it was it was in like the equivalent today what we call a strip mall, and well, I guess it was a strip mall even though it was back in the '60s, and you went in, and there was stuff on the walls. But almost everybody who went in there just went up to the counter and started flipping through the catalog and ordering stuff. And I guess the
service
stuff,
merchandise.
huh?
It's like service merchandise.
Yeah, and I guess the reason they had stuff in stock was more for show. I mean, I guess you could buy it, but it was more to show people. But I mean, that was a big Sears. People, no, if you're watching this YouTube channel, 90% chance all of this is part of your memory set, or at least you understand it. But it was eBay before there was eBay. No, that was eBay's a bad.
Well,
Amazon. It was Amazon before there was Amazon.
Let me tell you something. That will be the future of brick and mortar retail.
Probably.
It's-
We're gonna
there will be-
hey,
there will-
everything old is new again.
There will be one of each thing. You will be able to see it, feel it, touch it. You will go and order it, and by the time you get home, they will have shipped it to you.
Very possibly the rate we're going. Hey, Ken. That's Kenneth, not Ken.
Yes, I'm
Not
just saying.
Ken.
What?
So Pyro made this wagon. They also made the 52 Chevy, but that 52 Chevy in the middle, there's three kits, but it's the same kit. Pyro gave it to Lifelike gave it to Lindbergh. So that's really one kit that just went through three sets of hands. But the Mel's
Making
drive-in
sense.
for Mobius is a fairly new model.
That's a new kit. That's a new mold, too.
And that's the Hudson Hornet. And I tell you, the only reason you're seeing so many Hudson Hornet kits pop up is probably because of the movie Cars.
Yep, that's true.
We had a
Well,
Sears
meanwhile-
one. Yeah, they like that, yeah. We also had a Western Auto, for those who remember Western Auto.
Well, let me put it to you this way, and this will be off topic, but the $64,000 question is, how did Sears and Penny's miss the internet?
I actually watched the documentary on the Company Man about that. And part of me understands how when the internet started going on, just back in the early 90s when it was first starting off, a lot of people thought it was just a flash in the pan. And I can understand why they did, because it was very primitive and it was very unsecure. And a lot of people knew that I'm not putting my credit card information, into this machine and go out to God knows where, in cyberspace. It took a long time for the people forget. Well, I say a long time. It was around a while. That's just like people say, how could Blockbuster miss the opportunity to get Netflix? I remember the first commercials for Netflix, which were really good commercials, but I thought it was bizarre. I'm going to order and my DVDs are going to show up in the mail? Because that's what Netflix was back then.
Yep.
Remember? It was before streaming. And then when streaming came out, wait a minute, I got to go to my cable company and get these boxes put in my house. People tend to, I actually, worst job I ever had, selling Group W cable, Cablevision. And because I was literally in my little suit and tie, well, in my case, not so little, walking door to door, knocking on, cold calling people, knocking on, dude, door to door sales is the most miserable experience on this planet. I'd rather be a Jehovah's Witness. But I would just wonder.
You ever see the British comedy about the Jehovah's Witnesses?
No.
Two Jehovah's Witnesses come to the front door of this English guy's house, and they open the door and they start giving the spiel. He goes, oh, he goes, come on in. He goes, let's discuss this. And they take him in, and he opens the door, and he says, just go in here and sit down. And the door, it goes off the cliff.
My thing was, I was always waiting over the door to see a couple of vampires standing there going, dinner is served. Anyway.
Or two really big Dobermans.
Yeah, well, I had that experience. Oh, he almost never bites, relax. Anyway.
Yeah.
But no, so when Blockbuster had the chance to buy them, they were an upstart, they were struggling, they're like, we're not getting involved. They didn't have a crystal ball. At the time, the decision was perfectly understandable. We got this great brick and mortar business, is going gangbusters. And, but you know what? But if they had bought them, who's to say we would have gotten the streaming services? I mean, I don't know. So,
with Sears and Penny's, they had the distribution network, they had all the infrastructure. All they had to do was put up a website, and people had Sears credit cards.
And they got what it is they finally got on board with it, but by the time they did, they had lost inertia. Late. Yeah, they could have been the ones to launch it. But don't forget, there's more to it than that. There were companies that jumped on the internet right away that still went Tango uniform, okay? Because a lot of it had to do with you're dealing with people who don't have much in the way of a warehouse expense or anything like that, because they're ordering it as it goes, a lot of just in time and that kind of stuff. It was a major shift. The only real advantage you had from a brick and mortar store was you're holding it in your hand, okay, and you can walk out the door with it. But if time's not essential, and of course if it's clothing or something, I can try it on, and that's why those stores are still around. But the expense of brick and mortar, I mean, I have to tell you, you've been in business long enough to know it's really up there. It really drives your cost up, especially in a mall. So the Pyro Chevy custom wagon, I didn't even know they made that kit until I did this research. And again, you're looking at 3 cars from 1952 if you don't account the Ferrari from Revell, which is a sports car. I kind of put that in a different category, and the ones by Merit. And the Merit kits, as I recall, there's not a whole lot to them.
They are really good kits, though.
Are they?
I mean, I restored, 7 of them for a friend of mine who lived in England, and he bought them when he lived in England and built them, and that was like in the 50s. He's a little bit older than me. And he asked me if I could redo them, and I was like, sure. They were really nice little kits. I was impressed. They came out real nice.
Fran says, Captain Tangent strikes again. I keep tangenting off like this. I'm going to promote myself to major tangent. Captain Tangent went on a major tangent. But now we get up to 1953, and things are starting to pick up a little bit. We're getting a few more. Of course, we got the 53 Corvette Roadster kits. Now, of course, these are just samples, and the Ford convertible, you're starting to see, again, the 53 Hudson Hornet, so they kept making them. But Lindbergh, for some reason, AMT, makes this 53 Ford, and I think that is the only 1953 car that AMT makes. Lindbergh only makes the one, Mobius makes one, Monogram makes one, Revell makes 3. And that's the car from Greece, so there's a movie tie-in. And of course, the Corvette is a Corvette. So, but the Studebaker is, the only AMT kit for. I mean, I was like, man, 53, another dry year. Aurora made that. I love it. They don't even give it a name. It's just a fuel-injected speedster, 53 to 54. Indy car. That's all it is. It doesn't even have a name.
It's good to pay a license.
Of course. You see, if I was Ford or Chevy, whoever, I'd tell the kit model companies, man, you don't need to have a license. Make my car, promote my car. Go ahead, make all of them you want.
That's how it used to be in the old days.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to collaborate with the model kit companies when they'd be coming out with a new car. You make a kit of this.
Now, Slugo just got the 52 Mobius sets, and he's doing the Herb Thomas markings. Back when the drivers had their names all big letters down the side of the car. Don't need no numbers. He got his name right there. Fred had a 53 Chevy. Or his family did.
My dad had one.
The AMT 53 Ford is a Lindbergh reissue. Oh, of course it is. I should have figured that. And
the kit that you talk about Fords, the kit that the 56 Revell F100 pickup truck, which was a pretty big kit, that was the first kit that Keeler did when he went to Revell.
Which one?
The 56 Ford F100 pickup truck.
Paul says the Indy cars are originally from a company called Best. They also did hunting rifles. I think I've heard of Best. By the way, Eric and Paul and I are cobbling together some information on a very short-lived company called was it Skyflash? Or was it Skyflash? I forgot already. But they all they did was resell some Japanese Reebok, some Japanese kits and everything. But I was like, I never even heard of them before. And so now I'm going to see if we can put together a history video on them. It'll be a short one. They were only in business from like 62 to 63 or something like that. I was like, I get some old Morrison kits and stuff and a couple of Tamiya's. Probably ones that the company wasn't using anymore, but I was like, that's how you get the model business kit, guys. Hey, you got any molds you're not using? Shoot me 500, and I'll just use your box art and put a sticker over the name. But anyway, the Studebaker is a nice looking car. I gotta admit.
Oh, it is.
The funny thing is it looks literally 10 years ahead of its time. And to give you a comparison, what I'm talking about, look at the Corvette, then look at the Studebaker, and then think about what a 63 Corvette looks like. And the Studebaker almost looks closer to a 63 Corvette than the 53 Corvette.
That Studebaker was a Raymond Loewy design, and that was a pretty good car for them. The problem is it had a lot of quality issues with the body.
Oh, really?
But it was they're really very collectible as a real car. The kit's a nice kit. I built it. It's a really nice kit.
Studebaker wound up as part of General Motors?
No, Studebaker wound up as part of We're Out of Business.
Oh, okay. So they just went bye-bye.
Yeah.
Because it was Nash and Hudson and
Packard.
Who? Packard?
Packard.
Yeah, they all got together and became American Motors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have trouble giving. It's like airline mergers. Of all those, I think the Studebaker, as a kit goes, if I was going to have one of those kits, I think the Studebaker is the one I'd probably want. But I also like that Hudson Hornet. And, now we're starting. What?
Eric says Mr. Cunningham only drove Studebakers.
No, from Happy Days. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
No. Wasn't their family wagon a DeSoto?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember that.
I could be wrong. We just recently watched an episode of Two Are Happy Days, and I was going, I can't believe I used to wait for this show to come on.
I have a friend of mine where I used to live back in New York, and his family was in the car business. They started out at the turn of the century as Studebaker wagon dealers.
I'm crossing
Because
myself
Studebaker-
at Raymond Loewy's mention. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but was something about Raymond Loewy I should know.
Well, he was a famous industrial designer, you
Hmm.
know.
There is a chop top 53 Studebaker that has been past 300 miles an hour. What did they do? Drop it out of an airplane?
Yeah, no.
I love the look of the Advanti. Yeah, that was. I remember when the Advanti said Studebaker, and I was like, they're still around.
Hey, Gavin, if you get a chance, if American Motors is your favorite manufacturer, go to Ollie's. They have a whole book about American Motors. I was there today and saw it, which I didn't buy it because I was buying the Chrysler Muscle Car book.
So we get to 1954, and we're starting to see
Oh,
a
wait,
few.
before you go on,
Before
the
we go,
Avanti was also a Raymond Loewy design.
oh, okay. Ben Studebaker Museum in South Bend, not Elkhart, and 3 miles.
Nope. Yeah.
Okay, and I have to go if I ever in that area. I have to check it out. So now we're finally starting to get. I think that monogram they had it as a 1954 midget racer, but and I guess it was, but it looks like one that actually came out in '54. But a lot of these are much more recent kits. I did not realize that Revell and Italieri were sharing because that the first one upper left is Revell Italeri kit, and I'm assuming that means it's an Italeri kit that Revell. I don't know if Revell sold it to Italeri or the other way around, but that was another new one on me. And then you got this is weird. This is where I remember standing about 1954 being a little odd. You've got the Revell Italeri kit, you've got the Revell AMT kit, and then you've got a bunch of Revell kits. And I'm thinking this must be when AMT was just really starting to get into making kit model cars instead of promos.
Yeah. Yeah, they did the Cadillac was a Revell AMT kit. The one that I showed you with
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
exploded view. Yeah, they co-branded kits in the mid 50s for a brief time, and then they went on their own.
I wonder if they were using each other's or if it was a one-way thing. Was Revell using AMT's
I
molds or?
I think it was Revell molds, but maybe AMT designed it.
Hmm.
You know, like they came up with the concept, the car, they might have had the license, and they just, Revell made the mold.
Mm-hmm. But we got some that Gacken put out this Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, and I imagine if you found that kit today, it'd probably be a little pricey.
Who put it out?
Gacken,
Oh, okay.
where are they from?
That I
Germany?
have no idea.
Maybe
Probably.
Japanese. Well, while you
That
go ahead, I'm going to look that up.
a 300 SL kit started out as a Remwall kit, and then it became a Revell kit.
Okay.
And it was a nice kit.
Okay, Gacken. It's out of Japan. And doesn't like they made a lot of kits. I'm showing 77 on scale weights real quick here. And I'm not
Eric
sure.
wants to know if Gakken is a kaiju.
I am so stealing that. If I ever get to make my kaiju movie, I am calling it a gag. It's the Gakken! But it looks like they're reboxing because some of their kits are just AMT kits. So
If you guys are obviously all interested in different types of kaijus and robots and stuff, go on YouTube. They have these robots, like videos that were Japanese television shows. They have some robots that you are like, who in their right mind designed this thing? You've seen a couple of them.
oh yeah, you showed them to me.
They're just unbelievable.
I would say they were
And-
made for 8-year-olds, but then I don't know what, I look at some of the comic books of Japanese men read like, whoa, that is not for 8-year-olds. A Gakken, the SL300 is an original Gakken kit, but Intex got their hands on it, and then Minicraft, and then Italeri, and now Academy Minicraft. So looks like the kit's still being produced by Italeri, but it was originally a Gakken kit. So let's see, and then Mobius and other Hudson. They make, I got to give Mobius credit. They've made a string of Hudsons, like the 52 through the 54. I think. I'm assuming the cars are nearly identical. I doubt they were doing a lot of. I know that I want to say 45 and 46 Dodges were identical because the war had just ended. They didn't have time to, make any changes. A guy who had one had the old milk stool or milk jug trunk, so they could put in the 5-gallon stand-up milk jugs, and which I didn't realize. That's why a lot of those cars had those real tall trunks on them that were short, so they could carry things like those milk jugs and everything. But now we're about to see a catastrophic shift here. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 kits from 1950 of cars made in 1954, and of course, as soon as you hit 1955, kabloosh! All of a sudden, we've got all kinds, and this is when Premier hits the scene in a big way. All those stacked in the middle there, those 7 are all Premier kits, and I really don't know that much about. I think I may have covered Premier a long time ago, but it's been so long I've forgotten. Premier 1955. Oh wow! Oh God, who did that box art? 1950 to 1963. Yes, I did cover Premier because I think they got gobbled up by Pyro. I want to say, but man, they were just making all kinds of cars and stuff no one else is making. It. Yep, I just said they've got a Nash Metropolitan.
There you go.
They're doing the Nash Metropolitan, Buick Roadmaster from '56, the Lincoln Premier, whatever a Lincoln Premier is. Plymouth Belvedere, before it was Christine. Chrysler Windsor.
Yep.
And the LeSabre. Skylark. I got some of them here in the video. And of course, the Model Rama. That's what they had, the Model Rama. You remember that? Like
yep.
4 kits. Model Rama, ready to assemble 4 complete models. The Cadillac Eldorado, the Oldsmobile Starfire, the Chevy Corvette, and the Buick Skylark. All in 1/25th scale. I guess they were... I don't know if these are individual kits or you got all 4 in the box. Let me edit. Just saving the picture real quick. Save as Model Rama. If anybody knows that, let us know in the comments section. I'm going to put a picture up here. Close image. Model Rama. Model Rama. Okay, I got the picture up. You'll be seeing it here in a few seconds. I don't know if this thing, I assume you got all 4 of the kits in one box, or maybe it's just a promotion. Because Model Rama of ready to assemble model cars, 4 complete models.
Yeah.
So, but
4 in the box.
Oh, there were 4 in a box. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be getting the 55s here in just a bit. Yeah, I know where they're one of those 4. Someone wants one. Oh, okay. I bet. Yeah, I imagine they're a little hard to come by these days. But but now we're getting into some of the, Tom Daniel did Badman, which is a '55 Chevy. We've got a whole bunch of stuff being modeled. The Prestige series, the Nomads, the wagons, sedans, convertibles. And some that are a little less common, the 55 Ford, and I've got a couple of those 55 stake body trucks. Not a bad little kit. It's a 1/48 scale, but it didn't come with any clear parts. I think they're making clear parts for it now. That's when
They are making the clear parts now.
They are, yeah. And then Precise Managers made the LeSabre, and now we're getting, and there's the Nash Metropolitan up top. And there's the Sabre, then the That's the whole Premier line. God, I can only imagine how much a Premier kit would cost now. I don't think they're... Okay, let's take a quick peek out on Evil Bay.
I mean, if you look at this and you see that 56 Buick and you see the that Chevy truck, I mean, they've all been repopped by Atlantis.
Okay, this guy wants $75 for the 125th scale Premier LeSabre. This guy wants 109, 175. So yeah, they're for fairly 78. So not like outrageously expensive, but not cheap. Premier's Grand Prix, $39.99. 1961 vintage Premier American Compact Sales Mercury Hardtop, $20. There you go. There's one of the later ones, a little cheaper. What is this? Monogram Airfix Hasegawa Revell 172nd scale $10 model kits, low shipping. This guy's just got a huge stack of them. $10 a pop. No, he's got some Jet Provost. Okay, get off eBay, Max. You're on a live stream. Jeez. Better close that for you. You know, my wife's like, you know, oh God. You think he goes on a tangent when he's talking. Wait till he starts looking around Evil Bay. So, I have no idea how good the Premier kits are. Have you ever built one?
No, I've never built one either. I don't know.
All the ones up there, I've built the stake body a couple of times. I really think that's it. A friend of mine built Badman. He really liked it. And I have built the Premier Miniatures Sabre. It's a little one. Johan is in here. This is when they're starting to make kits for public sale, and they're legendary, so you really don't need to elaborate on them. This is like when they start to come into the picture as more than just a promo maker. But 1955, all of a sudden now you're seeing models of all kinds of cars being made. And I threw a couple of representative examples up here of the Chevy Bel Air. But the Bel Air has got to be one of the most produced kit model cars, the Tri-50, especially the 55 and the 57.
Yes, agreed.
Then we go to 56, same thing. And we're seeing a couple other cool cars like the Futura from Revell. They put the, you know, and
Club de Mer.
Mm-hmm. And
now the Futura is interesting because that's a two-piece body.
really,
It's an upper and lower. Yeah, it's an upper and lower. Cool. And the Club de Mer was kind of like a multi-piece body too.
really.
Yeah.
Let me move this picture.
Oh, there's the Jeep and trailer.
I put that in there. This is the year it came out, and I know you had a special place for that kit, so I made sure to
My
include
first
it.
kit I ever built.
And that 1956 is when the Revell introduced the kit, and it's still popular today. But it's only 1 to 40 scale, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's just yeah.
Well, today we would say that's a little off scale. Back then, there was no such thing as off scale.
No, they just made it to fit the box.
But this is also Monogram actually made, you know, several 56 vintage cars, the Cadillac, the Chevy, the Nomad, and the T-Bird. So this is when Monogram's finally starting to get a little bit of a catalog. The first year of car model, they have a little bit of a catalog on. Nothing compared to Revell. I mean, the Chrysler, the Ford.
They made some nice kits. They made a Cadillac kit in 124th, and they made a 58 Thunderbird in 24th that were pretty nice kits.
Yeah, I understand that Monogram was generally considered the nicer of the kit companies. Yeah. Johan was probably king of the pack, but as far as quality went. But the problem with Johan was, if they didn't get a contract to make it as a promo, they didn't carry it in their catalog.
No. Until
they did some airplanes, but which is actually, I think, what John Handley had started off doing, was doing recognition models. And AMT, this one on the top, the AMT of the T-Bird, I think that's a fairly new pressing. And, you know, it's like people forget Ford even made cars in the 50s because they're, oh, 57 Chevy, baby. It's like the quintessential 50s car. I'm kind of like, you do know that, Ford and everybody else out there still making them, but somehow the 57 Chevy just became the car.
It did. It did. And there's a lot of them still out there.
Of all these that we're looking at, though, I think the Futura is my favorite. And Johan, I found a picture of a Johan kit. I forget which one that was, but it wasn't the DeSoto, but it was. But that was a 1956. And now, of course, the quintessential of quintessentials, the 57s. And this is I'm probably wrong on this. This is the first one where I noticed they're doing 1/16 scale models also. I'm sure they have 1/16 scale models of the cars. I didn't happen to notice them. But this also has your Ford Country Squire.
The wagon.
And
see, on the previous page, those Mobius kits were really nice. Those Chrysler kits, they are real nice kits.
Are they?
Yeah, they're very nice kits.
Well,
and that 57 Chevy Nomad here, that's the one that's just been repopped by Atlantis.
I also included the Aurora military tractor trailers because, I mean, they're technically military, but they are trucks. I mean, you and I, before the show, we were out looking at some of them, and they're in the, like, what did we say it was, 1 to 60 scale or something, or 64 scale?
Yeah, it's a very weird scale.
Weird scale, and they look like toys. And people still want 100, 30 or whatever. They wanted 30, 40 bucks for ones that were already built. And I'm looking at it, man, that really is kind of a pitiful little. But then again, it was made for an 8. Like you say, it was made for a 10-year-old. He probably got it for 50 cents. This customizing kit in the upper right of the Starfire, I assume that the car comes with it, but that was like, the only Oldsmobile 58 Oldsmobile I found anybody made a model of. I was like, okay, the 57 Ford. Oh, did I miss? Oh, you know what I missed? Oh, no, I didn't. Let me just hold on. I got minor administrative detail up here. Got it fixed. Okay. Yeah, but the 57s are just everywhere. There's still so much in the public consciousness. And I don't really think there's a whole lot to be said about it. I mean, we're all familiar. At least somebody's still making the Fairlane. But I think of all the cars that are made in 57, this is what we get. The Chevy just eclipses everything. And like you said, there'll never be another Country Squire because they chopped up the mold.
They killed the mold. It's the Ranchero.
Which I actually have the Ranchero. And it's motorized. And I won't build it because it's just too rare a kit. And, plus, I really don't like building the cars that have the separate sides you have to glue together. It's like, that's frustrating. It was just funny, that truck I just built is that way because it's a truck. You have to put the sides on separately. But and to be honest, it was still a challenge. Even though it's an AFE kit, that was one of the trickier parts of it. But you move to 58, and of course, you can't have a 58 these days without the Belvedere. Most people couldn't pick a 58 Belvedere out of a police lineup until that movie Christine came out.
It's true.
And now everybody's making models of it. It's a good-looking car. Didn't the Fury look a lot like that?
They looked the same. The only difference was trim and color. The Furies all came in this one color. It was like a beige color, and the trim down the side was gold instead of silver.
Which one was considered the more upscale car?
Oh, the Fury, because it had nicer interior, it had better motor and stuff like that.
Okay, but same body.
Yeah, Christine was a Belvedere. It really wasn't a Fury, because they never made any red Furies. But it had the engine from a Fury, and
All right, well that makes sense. So we've got our 58 Edsel Pacer. I didn't even know it was called the Pacer.
Among other things.
Never call a car Pacer. We've learned what happened to every car named Pacer.
Hmm.
And I got your vet. And this is the first Impala. And I remembered the 58 Chevy Impala with the twin headlights. The 58 was the year of the double headlights. And the reason I remember that was an old episode of Perry Mason when he's driving his Impala convertible. At least I think it was an Impala. But I said, oh, that's got side-by-side headlights. So I was like, yeah, it's a 58. And somehow that just clicked. And we got the 58 Triumph TR3A. Aurora also had this twin kit. And it says Aurora Playcraft. So were those slot cars or were they just models? Or I wasn't entirely sure what to make out of that. It says Playcraft Hobby Kits Aurora, and I was never quite sure what that exactly that implied. But 58, baby, that's when the end is nigh for the big boxy balloon cars. Although, I don't know. I gotta admit, I think the 55s are a little bit better looking. The side-by-side headlights look okay, but I don't know. It was just something about the 55, 56, even 57 look that seemed a little less heavy, for lack of a better way to put it.
Well, when they went to dual headlights, because with the two headlights you could get longer illumination down the road than with the one.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I'm sure they were better.
And it was it was.
Oh, it was a Cadillac. Perry Mason drove a Cadillac. I'm sorry. Okay, my mistake.
If you notice, there's some 57 cars that have a single headlight and some that have two. And there's some that in the model year went from 1 to 2 because they changed the law and they made it a federal regulation that you had to have two.
Right. Fran's saying that he got to drive a 58 Corvette Roadster in the same color scheme as the box art at Meekum. That's cool.
There you go.
Pretty car. Like he was. It was good kills it. When I was reading Christine, I mentioned my dad about a Honda 58 Fury. Dad said he had a friend who had one S like this as I showed him the back cover.
That Edsel kit's a nice
AMT
kit.
also had a 58 Chevy, okay. I have a lot of old kits in Brazil. Would you like to see them? Yeah. Email some pictures of them to maxsmodels@yahoo.com. High school Trump chemistry drove a Triumph, and
TR3.
the Edsel would be a bag date.
God.
What do they call that? A tombstone center? That centerpiece or tombstone grill?
Horse collar.
Huh? Horse collar
collar
grill. Okay. I know they got waterfall grills and bucktooth grills. And
Yeah, that car was like, when it came out, you either liked it or you hated it. And my dad had a friend of his who bought one, a four-door one, for his wife.
Stuart Gregory got it. The 58 looked bloated compared to the 57. That was the word I was looking for. So anyway, you were saying, I'm sorry.
My dad had a friend of his who bought his wife a 58 Edsel in four-door. And she loved the car. She had it for about 2 months and went around a turn and ball joint broke. Front wheel came off.
Wow.
And that was it for that car.
Quality control issues much, huh?
He just they fixed it and he said, okay, now it's yours. I'm getting something else. And he sold it and got something else.
Okay, Playcraft was the maker, UK maker of Aurora. That explains why the Austin Healey and the Triumph for Playcraft. Okay, because that was that makes sense. I knew it was something like that. The Edsel grills, guys saying there's also known as a toilet seat grill.
No, the toilet seat was really the thing that was on the back trunk of the Chryslers and the Imperials with looked like it had a spare tire on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they called the toilet seat.
Okay. And we get to our last year of the decade, and that, of course, is 59, which you guys will notice, if you dare, that the top left corner we have, or not top left, that's the Ford Fairlane, the folding trunk. We have a Mini Cooper. Until I put this together, I did not realize that the Mini Cooper came out in 59. What I was glad to see is I didn't realize there are a lot of kit models of 59 vintage cars. And I built the Surf Shark. I did it for our Ugly Auto one. It's one of my favorite builds. It really came out, it's an easy kit to build, and everything came out great. It looked just like I wanted it to, like an old rusted surfer's car. And in fact, I had some pictures of it in the intro. And I went and dug up some of our Ugly Auto photos to just to put something in the intro. And I had to tell you, it was a really good kit. I have nothing bad to say about it. And is that what the Ghostbuster drives, the 59 ambulance?
Yeah.
Hers. Okay, you're going to have to refresh me. We talked about this before. That was a coach company.
Yes.
Was it Mercator or something like that?
I can't remember the name, but yeah, it was. They built those.
On
They
caddy
built them
frames.
as hearses, and they built them as ambulances.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure one of the glue troopers out there right now is burning up the keyboards telling us who it was. But I've always kind of been impressed with those coach companies like Checker Cab. They just do some cool stuff. But
Well, you know what the checker cab basically was. It was a squared off 59. It was a squared off 55 Chevy.
Well, yeah, that's just what they look like. But they also lengthened them. They lengthened them.
Yes, because Ed Cole, who was the president of, he was the president of Chevrolet, and then he went over and did Checker.
Frank got it. Miller Meteor. Oh, everybody's getting it. Miller Meteor.
Miller Meteor.
Yeah.
Miller Meteor. That's what it was for the Ghostbuster car.
That's a cool name, Miller Meteor. I think I went and watched a documentary on it. Problem is, I got a 5-second memory these days. But I'm sorry, you were saying about the that he had the 55 Chevy, which is the perfect car to turn into a taxi cab. I think I told you I almost bought one. I was thinking about getting one as my personal daily driver because obviously they updated them over time. I don't know what chassis they were made on in their later years, but I saw a guy that had one. It was a retired taxi, and he got it all cleaned up and painted it up real pretty. It was a nice shiny sort of metallic gray, and he'd rotted it out just a tiny little bit, and I was like, that is a cool looking car, but you've got all the modern comforts, automatic transmission, air conditioning, just because it was a more modern. Well, I don't know what the Checkers were made on in their last years. Let me see real quick, because they made the bloody things forever.
Yeah, They had all Chevy running gear. They had a Chevrolet engine, frame. It's just the body was
Checker
different,
Motors, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Corp history looks like they went on until there was a shooting. An actual shooting taxi war at one point in some of the cities.
No.
I remember watching a documentary on. Apparently, cabbies are actually, if you drove a different kind of cab or a different color cab, at one point in like the 20s or the 30s, actually, some of them were taking pot shots at each other.
I'm kind of upset by that. Eric writes, I dated 2 different gals that had caddy hearses as their cars.
Ha! Oh, that's just cool.
You'll have to explain that to us when you see us in person.
Okay, by the 70s, the checker cab was considered too big, too cumbersome, too thirsty. In 82, with the body stamping dies wearing out, so they discontinued them in 82.
Well, see, what happened was they had plans to expand the range, but Cole, who was the president, he had a private plane, and he was flying from one meeting to another and crashed and died in the plane crash. So that kind of threw everything off the rails.
Huh. Yeah, that will definitely do it.
I I knew people who had them as personal cars.
Uh-huh.
And they loved them. They were virtually indestructible. They were very reliable. They were it looked like a taxi cab, but it wasn't painted yellow. They had those cool little jump seats behind the front
I
seat.
remember that. That is so cool.
So you could put 3, 5, you can get 8 people in those things.
I'm trying to Okay. Oh, geez, Bernie Madoff was involved when the like the Ponzi scheme. Bernie Madoff. Wow, this company has a colorful history. um, Series E Transit, but blah blah. Okay, too much to try and do here. Should have done my homework before we started. Got me started about checker cabs. They are cool looking cars. I haven't seen one in years. I don't even know if there's still anybody. I'm sure there's still people around driving them, but there's the '59 Imperial, the Galaxy, the Impala convertible, the Eldorado. So we got quite a few '59 vintage cars. We got a truck here with a camper on it, and I think that I forget who made that kit. It might be Revell.
That '59 Cadillac convertible kit is a really nice kit.
Is it?
Yeah, it goes into a really nice kit.
'59 Cadillac convertible. Okay, yeah, that's Buick. Yeah. By Monogram.
Yes.
I think when I was at the Elvis Museum, they had his pink Cadillac. It was his mom's car, and I think it was a '59.
54.
It was a '54. Oh yeah. But I remember looking at that thing and it's pink or not, I would happily drive that down the street.
Well, it wasn't originally pink when he got it. When he bought it off the showroom floor, and he had it sent to a place to be painted pink to give it to his mother.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't originally pink, but he did that with a lot of his cars. He'd buy it right off the floor, and then maybe he didn't like it, he'd just have them painted.
Yeah, well, Elvis was famous for, he loved anything with a motor in it. I mean, he had a snowmobile that was rigged up to run on grass, and he motorcycles, cars, anything. He loved anything with the engines.
Yeah, he had a lot of nice cars, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he did. And
I mean, he had a '56 Mark II that was just gorgeous.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's an El Camino with the camper, not a truck. My mistake.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, thanks, friend. Interesting kit. And I think that's the only year they made that thing. I haven't seen it anywhere. First ambulance, it was a '64 Olds. But the '50s vintage cars, as we were talking about earlier, they're really only the last 4 years of the decade is really well represented. Well, no, 55 to '59 is very well represented. Before that, it's very weak, and it gets better as you go. I mean, ironically, even though '57, everybody makes the '57 Chevys, but '59 probably has more actual cars the era made than just about anybody else. I think it was just one of those things that, hey, we're catching on. Let's start making these things. But you look at it, the '59 El Camino looks like a car from the '60s when you compare it to the rest of all these cars, the exception of the Mini Cooper, which is in its own world. But the Impala almost looks like a hybrid of a '60s and '50s car. But every one of these other cars looks like a car from the '50s, except the El Camino. In my opinion, the El Camino looks like a car from the '60s. What say you?
Yes. That's like, see, what happened was in '57 when Chrysler came out with their new line, the tagline was, suddenly it's 1960. And their styling was so far ahead of everybody else, they caught the other guys with their pants down. Mm-hmm. And that was when everybody started to play catch up, and design really went to the next level. That's when you had the outlandish fins and all the chrome and all the trim. But, it served a purpose, and it sold a lot of kits.
I remember the movie Running Scared, and they had the yellow checker cabs, their surveillance vehicle. And the guy put in bulletproof windows, and he's laughing because they can't shoot through them, but he tries to shoot back, and he realizes he can't. So one minute he's kissing the guy, the other he's cursing him. That was a movie that launched Jimmy Smith's career. He played the villain in that one, and that's what put him on the map.
Yes, Stuart, they did have Cadillacs that were modified as flower cars. As a matter of fact, I drove past one last night. And my wife said to me, "What is that strange looking car?" I said, "It's a flower car for funerals."
Wait, what car are you talking about?
The Cadillacs that were modified to be flower cars at funerals,
Uh-huh.
they modified them to be like pickup trucks with a pickup sort of bed with aluminum trim, and they put all the flowers that people had sent when they would take the body to the grave and put the flowers on the grave.
I'm looking this up. Oh my gosh, you're not kidding.
Yeah, no. You know what we need for this? We need that young man you had on who modified all those Cadillac kits into hearses.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Remember him?
He turned it into that supercar. How come when I do this, the pictures come back so small? Okay. Hello? Hit the button. Copy image.
No, Caswayne, I do not think so.
What's he asking?
He's asking, do you think 70 years from now someone will do a live stream looking nostalgically back at the Tesla Cybertrucks of 2025?
God, I hope
Only
not.
if it's a comedy routine.
So, browse flower car. Here it is. Okay, boys and girls, here is a 1958 Cadillac flower car, just as he described it. I'm a little surprised. I did not realize it was a dedicated car just for all the flowers. And it is cut back to look like a truck, or like a El Camino, a Cadillac Camino. Camino-lac. El Camino-lac. That'd be a cool name for it.
Sounds like medicine.
Here, take your El Camino-lac. It'll hack that stuff right out of you. You got it? Seeing it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. You've never heard of flower car? It's very big in Europe. I never have. I guess it's just not that big of a thing here.
See, what I could picture people saying 70 years from now is, in the 50s they made this thing called the Edsel. In the early 20s they made this thing called the Cybertruck. Which one's uglier?
Yeah, that right there. Okay, we're back on camera. That right there would be a that's a toss up. You know, I think I'm going to have for sheer ugly points. I think I'm going to have to go with Cybertruck.
Yeah. I'm noticing a lot of people now are wrapping them.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Yeah. Okay, well, so we got plenty of time left here. We'll start the after show here in just a minute because we've gone through everything I had to cover. What say you about the 50s car models? You know, comments, thoughts, concerns?
I think they did a good job trying to give examples of the cars of the 50s. I really think there's a nice assortment of the stuff out there.
On one of my favorite YouTube channels, Trigonometry, at the end, the two guys always ask their guests, okay, what's the thing we're not talking about? All right? Great question, by the way. So, what are the kits that they didn't make that they should have made or should make?
They didn't make 58, 57, 58 Pontiac Bonnevilles.
Good choice.
They didn't make that many Oldsmobiles of the 50s era.
I can only find any Oldsmobiles or Buicks, for that matter.
They didn't make a lot of the Motorama dream cars or the Ford dream cars. They only made a few, but there were a lot they could have made. Look at the LeSabre, one of your favorite cars. It's very poorly modeled.
It is extremely poorly.
And it's 32nd scale kits. They're not even 24th or 25th scale kits.
Yes. I got one right here. Yeah, right over there. And it's that big, you know. It's like, it's ridiculously small.
And Kenneth here says
Cybertruck, when a garbage can mates with a Roomba.
There you go. there's way more recent kits of cars of the 50s now, as people look back on them and say, this wasn't a bad car. It would make a good kit.
Well, something I'd like to see from the 50s are more of the panel vans and the trucks.
Yeah,
I think the
there's
55
the
pickup is awesome.
there's a couple of panel vans. I think I'm not sure if it's Mobius or one of the companies has made a couple of them.
Let me run check real quick. Go to scale mates. I'll put in Mobius and panel van, or just van. Okay, there are no A's in Mobius. Mobius. Oh, first thing that popped up, the Chevy Fleetmaster.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't. Somehow I missed that. What, wait a minute. Oh, that's a 47 because I was doing the 50s. That's why. Still, that's a cool looking vehicle. And
did you cover the 007 race? And that's what it ends with.
007 race.
All right.
Well, no, since we're doing the 50s. Mobius does. Oh, Mobius makes the Chrysler. I didn't see this earlier. Maybe they make the 55 Chrysler 300.
Yeah. Yeah. In two versions. They make a street version and they make the stock car version.
Okay. That's. Then again, I didn't have a lot of time to do this, so I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of cool stuff. But that's a nice looking car, that 50s Chrysler 300.
Oh, it's a nice car. Used to call it the Banker's Hot Rod.
Banker's Hot Rod. Yeah, I remember Jay Leno was talking about that.
Did you cover the 007 race set and how it put AC Gilbert out of business?
No, because we're dealing with the 50s. But if you want to touch on that, since you've got it up behind you,
Yeah. Well, I have one right here in front of me.
does anything on it work?
Yeah, oh, mine works. Yeah, mine works. In '64 Christmas, that was the premier item in the Sears Christmas catalog. And AC Gilbert made it for Sears. And at the time, it was kind of expensive. It was $34.99.
We need to point something out, that Gilbert had passed away, and the company had been bought by some movie mogul who didn't know anything about the
Right.
toy business or engineering.
True.
That's important to.
So what it is it's a 6-piece vac-formed set that all snap together, and they have all the terrain and everything molded in, and you're just supposed to plug it together, and you plug it in, and it comes with a DB5, and it comes with a Mustang, and it has a jump, and it has an oil slick, and it has a lane change thing, and it's got some accessories. Very, very cool toy.
Garfield says you have the only working JB007 race set.
That's because I worked on it to make it work.
How many aftermarket parts? Putting
Yeah.
real metal in there, and
I
real
found
magnets.
I found a guy up in Connecticut whose dad worked at the factory, and he owns a hobby store. And I guess Dad spirited some parts out of the factory over the years he worked there. And so if you need spare parts, you can get it from him. So anyway, it's on these 6 preformed pieces that have the track already in it, and they snap together. So it's very easy to put together, which is an offshoot of Gilbert's train set called All Aboard, where it had preformed pieces with the track, and you would just snap them together and you could move around and make different layouts. The problem is the thing had like a 90 some odd % defective rate. I mean, it was just, it would work for 20 minutes and then it wouldn't work.
it also catapulted the cars because of the cheap magnets and stuff.
Well, it was, the wiring was bad, and it was a
It was
great
a schlock
concept.
product. It was just
It
a
was
schlock.
pure. It was poorly executed. I mean, it was just terrible, and that's what put them out of business because they sold a ton of them. Sears, loved how many sold, and they took just about every one of them back. Now, yes, it's true. To find one that works is really tough.
Well, you have roads and you have like tunnels and you have
Yeah.
mountains. You're missing one
Roads,
thing.
tunnels, mountains. I can.
When you have cars, roads, tunnels, and mountains, you have to have a Godzilla with it.
Well, here, I can,
Happy now?
let me take the laptop over.
Here we go.
There it is. Can you see it?
No, you've still got your background up. You got to remove. You have to turn off the background.
Oh, okay. I'll figure that out.
Ever since I saw King Kong vs. Godzilla with the tanks running away inside the little underground garage or whatever they had, when he attacks the island, I was like, you have a mountain, you have a tunnel, you have vehicles running in there, you've got to have a Godzilla chasing them.
Can you see it now?
Down just a little bit. That's good. Yeah, okay, now we can see it.
Of course, I have a lot of model kits on it, but
And this
but as
thing,
you can see,
this thing wasn't cheap either. Went back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
This thing was not cheap back in the day.
No, it was $34.99, which back in 1964, that was a lot.
That's
of money.
about $400 today.
For that kind of money, you expect it to work,
Bloody well, yeah. And this by itself killed the Gilbert Toy Company.
Yes, it did. But,
This is the first time I've actually seen one of these things.
hmm?
These cars are kind of big.
No. Those are models I just put there.
Oh, I was going to say, my God. Hold on, let me make you big here so people can see it better. Aim it down just a little bit. That's better.
Yeah,
Oh, look,
these
there's
are-
a turbine car on the track.
How about that? And these are the cars. Here's the
Uh,
DB5, and there's the
You got
Mustang.
to hold it up in
They're
front. You got to hold it up in front of the camera.
there.
A little higher. Higher. There you go. There it is. Okay, now we can see it.
And you can see it's an Aurora car.
Uh-huh.
Aurora made the motors and the chassis.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a jump. You can adjust.
You're muting the sound somehow. I think you're
Oh.
might be closing access to the microphone. Ah.
Adjust the jump. The tunnels. The switch tracks. Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing when it works.
Yeah, well, you're muted again. A little lower. There we go. Is that a jump?
Yeah, it's an adjustable jump.
Oh. Well,
Go higher and lower.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The world's only working James Bond slot car set.
You got that right. I got this. Can't remember how many years. Oh, it had to be about 15 years ago. I was looking for one, and even then they were pretty pricey. And about a week before Christmas, one showed up on eBay, and it was like, And my wife said, "What are you looking at?" And I showed her, and she says, "Okay, get it for Christmas for yourself." I did. And like I said, when I got it, it worked. The guy I got it from had bought it from new, and he had it when he was a kid. And it worked, but it didn't work like it should have. And then I was tinkered with it. I cleaned it up, and I changed a couple of parts because I was able to get it. And I still have some parts that are spare that I bought just in case, but it works.
Come on, aren't British sports cars supposed to break down?
Yes. Yep. Sometimes you can only drive the Mustang.
Hey, Gavin, send me a piece. He's just enough of Weisenheimer that in about 4 days I'm going to open my mailbox. There's going to be a little cup in there with a scoop of pot pie. Guys,
Who is the?
that's
Who is the?
Go ahead.
I'm trying to read this. Who is the old man picture in the back? Trying to figure that out.
I think it's you.
Oh,
Look
it's
over your
probably
right shoulder.
Zachary. It's probably Zachary.
Oh, Zachary. Oh, yeah. Chiller Theater.
Yeah, it is Zachary because I'm looking at the video. That's what it is. It's Zachary.
I wish I could have met him. He sounds like the cool ghoul.
He was the coolest guy you would ever want to meet. I mean, I remember when I was in college, he was on the radio in New York. He did really well on the radio in New York.
By the way, real quick, I got the message. Guys, we're in the after show now. We went over all the material we had, so it's a free-for-all now. So if you got questions about anything you want to ask, go ahead. Steve, continue with your story.
So he was on the radio, and he did really well. So he came to our college, and he was in the lecture hall, and it was like standing room only. I mean, everybody was there. And he stands at the podium in the front, and people are just, all excited, making noise. And he finally waits for them to stop, and he says, takes the podium, and he flips it around so that you can see the back of the podium. And he says, I just wanted to do this because I'm sure many of you in the audience will never get a chance to stand up behind one of these and speak to a group. And everybody just cracked up. I mean, he was just hysterical. And years later, he would go to Chiller Theater. He would be like the headliner at Chiller Theater every time.
Yeah.
And I went there one time, and he was there.
Him and
I
Cassandra
said,
Peterson.
Yeah, him and her.
Both of him and
And
Elvira.
I said to him, I remember when I was a young boy, I said, you did this was when they introduced the Hammer films to America, like in the late 50s.
Believe me,
Okay.
I remember that.
So they had the first Frankenstein movie with Peter Cushing and the first Dracula movie with Christopher Lee as a double bill at this movie theater.
Is that the one where the priest shoots the ice and drowns Dracula? Or
No, that was later.
Okay.
This is the one.
that was the first one that just stuck in my head.
Yeah. So, and they had, and he was on TV with his show, with his show. Then. So he hosted it, and in the middle they had a werewolf imitating contest, and people would get up and howl, and it was like the crowd would crap. So I mentioned that to him. I said, I remember, and he said, oh yeah, he remembered this like it was yesterday.
Guy had a razor sharp memory.
Kidding me. So he was there, and Elvira was there, and some artist had these prints of him with Elvira. Like it was his head, and then she was below him. Which I got that on the wall here. So I bought one, and I had both of them sign it. And when I brought it to him, he says to me, "Where'd you get this?" I said, "Oh, some guy." He says, "You couldn't have brought the girl with it?" He was a really, really funny guy.
Well, I guess the inheritor of him and Elvira are Tangela and what's his name over at Creature Feature?
Yeah, well, I know who you mean. Yeah.
And,
I can't think of his name.
And Livingston. So it's,
Livingston, the Butler. Butler's hysterical.
Oh, Livingston's the funniest one.
We could redo that whole thing. We'd get Eric to be Livingston.
No. Dan Monroe.
Oh, Dan Monroe.
I wonder if we could get him interested in something like that.
He probably could.
Well, he's 6'9". He'd be perfect for the role, dressing up as Lurch.
Oh, God. He is. Here, let me show you hold on.
Ah, there, that's Zachary and Elvira. Yep.
And they both signed it. And there's just a picture of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You look at that, you wouldn't believe that that's actually a comedian.
Oh, God. He was hysterical. I mean, and if you ever want to see who he is and you don't know,
and there's also
video.
there's also Svengoolie. Forgot about him.
Yeah. Well, he's they've exactly videos of his show
Who's
on
going to be Elvira, Ken?
YouTube. Yeah.
Montgomery Ward said, "All right, Doctor Shock in Philly. Yeah, he was. Well, he was the one that was Doctor Shock, right?
No, he was.
He was in Philly
He was
first.
just. Excuse me.
What was he first in Philly?
He was first in Philly. His name was Roland.
Roland, that was it. Yeah, I think Dr. Shock came later in Philly when he left.
And then he moved up to New York, and it was just Zachary. And then he did the Chiller Theater.
When you find out how a Zender diode works, you go, what?
Well, it's amazing. Everybody all over the country had their own version of him. That was a pretty common thing when all of the movies were able to be shown on TV because the copyrights had expired. And
Paul the Bearer in Florida. Well, you think about it. Sammy Terry and Nanny AC, people are listening all the place. Now, think about it. That kind of character, the Zacharys, the Svengulis, the creature features, Elvira's, are such a staple of our culture that the movie Fright Night is actually based around one played by Roddy McDowall.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And the Speculo from Atlanta. I remember, Doctor. Are y'all coming to Jack's Con 20? I'm planning to, but I live in Jacksonville. It's a 40-minute drive for me, but I'm planning to go to Jack's Con. But I don't know if I'm going to have. I don't think I'm going to table. I'm probably just going to go visit.
The thing that's funny about that is you have all these different, people. I mean, it's something that anybody could do from their basement.
Oh, good. Trey's going to be at TraxCon. Good. And hopefully Fran will be up on his feet and make it there too.
Yeah, Chili Billy in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Chili Billy's daughter played in Day of the Dead, the Romero movie where they were in the underground missile silo bunker.
Well, I'm sorry.
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
Remember the Day of the Dead where they were in the underground missile silo?
Those movies all became a blur for me. The ones I saw.
It's like the third one. Well, the girl who's the female lead, she was Chili Billy's daughter.
Mm. It's funny. I grew up at that point where, Gavin, I'm going to try. I think I'm going to try and make it, but I'm not guaranteeing anything yet. To the Nationals, I'm trying to get Steve to go, but Fort Wayne, Trey. They're in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I grew up in that time where when I started going to the theater, I was starting to see the sequels first. I kind of I missed the original Planet of the Apes. I missed the Sean Connery James Bond. So when I started going to the theater, I saw Beneath the Planet of the Apes was the first one I saw in the theater. Roger Moore was the first James Bond that I saw, and everybody's like, "Oh no, Sean Connery, who?" Then I had to go watch it on television when it came on, and it's like the Hammer films and stuff. The ones I saw were probably the later ones and everything. I've never, believe it or not, I'm almost embarrassed to admit this because I consider myself a movie geek. I've never actually seen the original. Was it Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead?
Night of the Living Dead.
Romero's. I've never actually seen it. I've seen clips of it and everything. Somebody showed me the end with the redneck shooting at the ones that are hanging from the trees. It's like, yep, that's what happens when the dead come to life here in Florida. We just hunt. People like, in some places you see people running and screaming. We're like loading up going, which way? Where are they? Come on. There was a British comedian who somebody was asking about like World War III. And he was kind of like, what did they invade? He goes, America? He goes, they're in for a treat when they hit the American South. It's going to be commies versus rednecks. And it's kind of like rednecks and airboats chasing down commies, chasing in the swamps and everything.
That could be a movie we could make.
Well, they kind of did that with, what was that Chuck Norris film, Invasion USA, where they go out to the rednecks and they're shooting back. But, And well, not. I don't know how true this is, but supposedly it's a story that will not die. That in 39, 40, when the Japanese were doing research about the possibility of invading the West Coast, they were warned they all own guns. He said there'll be a rifle behind every blade of grass. And the belief is, had they actually somehow managed to get the force projection to hit the West Coast, they probably wouldn't even made it to the Santa Anas. But they would have been stopped cold at the mountains.
Yeah, once they got into the desert, that would have been it.
Well, they wouldn't have probably even gotten that far. But, that's the thing. This is what people don't understand historically. I'm talking about people like world leaders. Russia has never been successfully invaded because Russia's biggest weapon is its size. Napoleon made it all the way to Moscow. The winter came and got him. I mean, Russia is naturally defensible because of that. The United States is the same way. So is Canada. Just the mass areas that you would have to cover. Mexico's got the deserts. You remember the good and the bad and the ugly. When Clint Eastwood is Tuco's prisoner, and he goes, the Sibley's troops go that way, the Yankee troops go that way, but no one will take on this desert. No one but you and me. It's like, and that's true. It's what. That's why.
Just keep backing up.
That's why it sucks to be Poland. Russia on one side, Germany on the other, not much in between. Which is why Poland is now the single heaviest armed country, most heavily armed country in Europe. And they are buying everything. They spend like 15 or 20% of their GDP on national defense. It's amazing what being invaded by the Russians and the Germans will do for your attitudes on that. What you laughing at?
Alco Stream says the Japanese would have got all tangled up once they hit traffic on the I-5.
Well, was it Rick said, Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, when we invade America, well, I don't know, there's certain parts of certain neighborhoods in the Bronx I'd stay out of. But the
look, the guys in Creature Features, they kind of inherited that sort of part of the country because there used to be a guy named Bob Wilkins who was out of the Bay Area, and he was like a legend on the West Coast, and then he kind of left and passed away, and then they kind of picked it up from him. But they do a nice job. I like their show.
That would be my absolute dream job, to get hired as a, to run to run one of those Creature Feature type things. I'd start out. I mean, the problem is I'd run out of movies that I want to do. I'd be doing War of the Worlds, all the good Godzilla movies.
There's no shortage of movies you could do. Just look at Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh my God! I kind of halfway do that sometimes.
They put some of the worst stuff that's ever been put on film.
Which is that's the beauty.
Look, when
I would love nothing more than to actually broadcast it from a decommissioned missile bunker.
When I first saw Mystery Science Theater 3000, I said to myself, this is just like what me and my friends used to do when we were 12 years old.
Exactly.
We would go to the movies on Saturday.
Exactly.
We would go to the movies on Saturday. The movie theater would be mobbed. It would be pandemonium, okay? They'd be playing these movies, and people would just yell stuff out, and it was hilarious. And that was
it's like going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, it was just like a Rocky Horror Picture Show without the water guns.
I'll tell you, it's probably one reason I crank videos out so prodigiously is because I just love the whole process. I worked at a TV station. I toured a TV station when I was in, 5th or 6th grade, and that was impressive. The first time I actually saw a monitor, they put us on the TV with the monitor, and I had a great time. Oh my gosh, we're almost out of time. But I was so desperate to get into the television business that I worked at 2 TV stations in Tallahassee for free. WECA, which became WTXL, and before that, we're on the camera at Group 40 Cable, which was the Group W Cablevision. That's who I wound up selling the stuff for, and that was a nightmare. People were really nice, but I was we had some salespeople that could sell ice cubes to an Eskimo, but just going up and knocking on doors, and just call, hi, I'm from Grutovio, and I managed to sell a few of them, but it was soul crushing work.
It's like being the Fuller Brush man.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, my point being though that being in the studio and everything, I fell in love with it. So one of the reasons I really liked Saturday Night Live was because it was live. And I love being in the studio and some of the places. Believe it or not, well, actually, this won't shock anybody. One of my favorite things is the little train layout of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, because it was just something you and I would build, if you look at some of the goofy screwball little movies I've made that are out there on YouTube somewhere, they're just, just me having fun because it scratches that creative itch. But I would love, God, now I'm getting the urge to start building a big diorama so I can start doing Godzilla stuff on it, and but
Oh wow, Roy, Uncle Floyd passed away a couple of days ago. Wow, that's terrible. Uncle Floyd was a guy who would be on. He was on TV in New Jersey. His name was Floyd Vivino, and he was played the piano. He told jokes. He had a whole crew of guys. He was on TV. He was hysterical. He was like a mainstay. Yeah.
What, he had like his own show or something?
Yeah. And he used to go to comedy clubs, and he'd perform at comedy clubs. Wow, he was funny.
He says SNL killed off the horror host shows.
Yeah, because it was kind of on the same time frame that they used to be on. They'd be on about that time of night on Saturday.
Yeah, but also a lot of these hosts were regional.
Yes.
I don't think you could survive doing it nationally. I don't think there's a market for it. Maybe there isn't.
They had one in Philadelphia that we used to watch when we lived in South Jersey, and it was on after Saturday Night Live, and it was called Saturday Night Dead.
Uh-huh.
And the hostess was Stella, the man-eater from Manayunk. And she would do these skits in between the horrible movies, but she would get guys, famous performers, who would be performing in Atlantic City, and they'd come over and be on the show. It was hilarious.
Okay, I got Floyd Vivino up here, so I'm gonna check him out after we're done.
That's him.
And he uses puppets and stuff too, I see.
Yep.
Okay. Well, because I like talking about movies, I like making movies. I think if somebody coughed up about $4 million, with modern technology, and down here in Florida we don't have union labor, and we have acting schools and stuff here, so no shortage of people. Every time they have an open casting call, we need 50 extras for a local movie. Not a problem. They give you lunch and $25, and just do this, do that. And I've been in a couple of movies he did that. It was in First Time Felon and From the Earth to the Moon. And I have to say, First Time Felon, I was amazed at how cooperative everybody was. The biggest problem was they didn't have any on-site bathrooms. I had to go to this little barbershop bar there. They were really good sports about it. I would say for about $4 million, you could probably make a really decent B horror movie kind of, or B movie kind of, like the old horror movies, something that could go into the theaters or on streaming, and just because the production cost is so low, could make a, well, that's just like basically the rebirth of AIP. And I'll tell you what movie proved that. Godzilla -1. $14 million budget, including marketing. Okay.
Yep.
And what's it made? $250 million. Completely revitalized the franchise. And Legendary drops
coming out.
Legendary drops $250 million in hopes that it'll be a tentpole film that'll double its money. And here, Godzilla -1 showed us how to. But as we've discussed before, the Japanese understand the material better. They were honest to what it's about. They went back to their roots in that. And let's face it, Godzilla -1, and I hate to say this because you know how much I love the 1954 one, and it will always be the original, but I think Godzilla -1 might be the best incarnation. And I like Shin Godzilla too. And the thing I like about the two of them is Shin Godzilla did not. You happy now? We're talking about Godzilla. But Shin Godzilla did not. Other than the character's name and the basic idea, it didn't try to recreate the original. It was a clean sheet of paper.
Well, Shin Godzilla was more of a commentary on how government worked.
It is. And the Japanese, Americans that went
Yeah.
right past us, but the Japanese knew exactly what they were referencing. They say in Japan that the movie Shin Godzilla has a completely different meaning than it does to the American audience. It does, it's just a big kaiju movie. And it's a good one. But to the Japanese, it's absolutely a poke in the eye. It's a poke in the ribs at the end. I do not appreciate how ineffective their government is known for being. And it wasn't until I started watching the British comedy series Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister I started realizing how bad it is in several European countries and the UK. And not that our government's a model of efficiency, but there is an office in Japan. Now, this is something a lot of people don't know. There is no private aviation in Japan. Like personal airplane. No one owns a small plane. Okay. All the small aircraft that are there are either belong to flying schools or flying clubs. It's very tightly regulated. But basically, if I'm not mistaken, there's no such thing as a private pilot's license in Japan. This may have changed. AOPA did an article on this some years ago, but they have an office where you apply to get a pilot's license for a private pilot, and the function of that office, and this sounds right out of Monty Python, is to deny your request. That's what they did. I'm like, that's got to be the easiest job in Japan. No, go away. And unless that has changed, but Godzilla Minus Zero, which I think is supposed to take place in 1954, according to the rumors, which means it's going to dovetail with the original Godzilla. And I think it's an homage to the original Godzilla, and I believe it'll all be an entirely different cast and everything. Now, people nitpick Godzilla Minus One for a few things that I understand from a technical standpoint, but I'm like, guys, really? It's a Godzilla movie. Lighten up. They went, yeah, I know it was a lot of CGI, but at least they went to the trouble to get the right look. They put so much effort into that. And if there's one thing I get tired of, it is the hoity-toities in Hollywood going, yes, but it's a commercial film. I'm like, it's called show business. You want a real, you want a real, not that this, nothing we don't already know. Watch the interview with James Wood, the actor, former actor, now musician, with Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs on his Mike Rowe's Is the Way We Heard It. I watched his interview. First off, the actor James Wood. Okay. He's got a measured IQ of like 184.
Yeah.
It's well into
smart.
genius territory. Okay.
Yep.
He also had a full ride as a high school student. He was so smart, he had a full ride at 5 universities and the United States Air Force Academy, all of which came to a literal crashing stop because he went through a glass door roughhousing with his friends and he almost died and got a severe injury, cut to his arm, and he doesn't have the dexterity he should have in his right hand, so that he wanted to be a surgeon, and he goes, that's out. That went out with that accident, and it just an impressive guy. But you listen to him talk about Hollywood and what happened to him and everything, which is pretty common knowledge now, and like. I would last about 3 seconds in that crowd. Which is why I make my own movies.
We should make our own Hollywood.
We should. And Florida's the perfect place to do it. All the cheap labor and cameras and tourists all want to be in a movie. So, hey, you guys want to have a free lunch? 500 of you come running down the street screaming, okay. Do it on our cell phones. I'm waiting. That's what we should do. That should be our gimmick. The first motion picture release made on a cell phone.
Like it.
Well, that's it. It's 9 o'clock. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have. Not enough cowbell. That's right. Maxie
There you
Wood.
go.
That's where we're going to Maxie Wood. Sounds like a cheap whiskey. Hey, you want another glass of Maxie Wood?
Yeah.
But Hollywood.
Well,
James Honey Badger Woods.
guys, thank you once again for coming out. And Chris, I have to thank you immensely for that lovely gift. I really appreciate it, and I will enjoy building it.
And I'll get this off to you as soon as I can. Oh, well, guys, once again, thanks for coming out and spending some time with us. I'll let you run. And take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.
He said, so anyway, the thing is that he's 3 stories deep in high school band. You ask him how his weekend went, he's explaining ancient Roman ceiling fans. One sip of coffee, suddenly we're ranking every kind of cheese. We just wanted movie times, now we're somewhere in the 90s on TV. Captain Tangent, off again, started with the weather, now we're talking about space pens. Captain Tangent, spin that thread. We were on the freeway, now we're in his cousin's shed. He goes left, he goes right. He forgets what started this ride. Captain Tangent, that's our friend. Circle to the middle, never finds the end. You say, can you pass the song? He's like, salt, that's wild. Cause I once knew a guy named Hal. Next thing,